Dear brilliant, exhausted Hunter class of 2023. Congratulations and thank you for being here. I want to give a special thanks and congratulations to President Jennifer Rabb on her extraordinary tenure and legacy here at Hunter. Like me, President Rabb grew up in Washington Heights, and like me, President Rabb went to Hunter High School, so we know the exquisite pain of the crosstown bus schedule. The A to the C to the M90-something that never arrives. Okay, I guess we're running through Central Park. Thank you for your continued devotion to school, to our school through your service. Graduates, take a look around you at the people who helped you get to this day. Friends, families, teachers, abuelas, abuelos, titis. Take a moment to let them know what you've always known. You don't need the flash on your phone right now. Oh my God, Mom, it doesn't reach the stage. Don't drain your battery unnecessarily. There is plenty of light up here. Graduates, if you feel like I did on my graduation day, first of all, your head must be pounding. Drink plenty of fluids today. Second of all, if you're like me, you dreamed very specifically about this day for many years, but what happens tomorrow is a little hazier. And the week after that. And the rest of your life after that. What do you do now? It's this simple, and it's this complicated. You do what you have to do that allows for the most space for what you want to do. What you have to do. Find a place to live where you can afford to keep the lights on. Eat food. Maybe not all the streaming services, but the two you feel you need the most. Barry in Succession just ended. Bran is on the Iron Throne. I just saved you HBO Max. Ya no lo necesita. I cannot help you with your parents' or your ex's Netflix password, but I have faith that you can figure it out. What I did after graduation, moved to New York City with two of my college roommates in a rented U-Haul to share an apartment at the top of Manhattan, so far north our building number had 4 digits, 5,000 Broadway. The roof leaked every third time it rained. The elevated 1 train screeched up the block every time it went by, but the rent was affordable among the 3 of us. Food, I got very good at baked beans and pizza bagels. Streaming services did not exist yet, and we couldn't afford cable, so every Sunday night my roommates and I went to my folks' place for a homemade meal and The Sopranos and Sex and the City, which we could not pause or rewind if we missed something. TiVo and DVR wasn't really a thing yet. I don't even know if TiVo is a thing anymore. Do what you have to do that allows the most space for what you want to do. What do you want to do? What I wanted to do. On my 17th birthday, I sat in the last row of the rear mezzanine of the Nederlander Theater on Broadway and saw a new musical called Rent. The whole thing was written, book, music, and lyrics, by a talented young composer named Jonathan Larson. The experience was the most alive I have ever felt in a theater, a truly contemporary score sung by young characters struggling to live and make art in 1990s New York City. Amidst the unrelenting and unprecedented HIV/AIDS crisis, claiming friends and lovers, these characters continue to find ways to choose love, to choose connection in an age of alienation, and sing and live the words, "No day but today," even as time and illness chase them down. That night, I went from being a theater kid who loved musicals to a theater kid who needed to write musicals. Because Larson put his heart and his fears and his community stories on that stage, and for the first time, I understood viscerally that theater could be a vessel for my heart and my fears and my community stories. It's a 2-year distance and a very direct line between seeing Jonathan Larson's musical portrait of a tight-knit but rapidly gentrifying East Village and writing my first draft of In the Heights, my portrait of a tight-knit but rapidly gentrifying Washington Heights. Back to what you have to do. Get a job. Hopefully you can find a job somewhere in the vicinity of your passion that has something to do with what you've spent the last few years studying. If college is good for anything, it's finding community with other people who share your interests and passions so you don't have to go through it alone. The legendary composer Stephen Sondheim wrote what he considered to be his only autobiographical song about this time of life, the time you're in right now. And he called it Opening Doors. The chorus goes, "We're opening doors, shouting, here we are. We're filling up days on a dime. That faraway shores, looking not too far. We're following every star. We haven't got time." Look around at your fellow graduates. Who is your ride or die as you burst into the world opening doors? Did you meet them here at Hunter? Or are they sitting behind you or around you, loving you enough to brave the MTA in Brooklyn rush hour on a Tuesday afternoon? Name them, treasure them, hold on to them, because when you're chasing what you love, there is never enough time. What I did for a job. I graduated from Wesleyan University in Connecticut in May 2002 with a degree in theater, which in New York's job market is like showing up to a gunfight with a degree in theater. But just before I graduate, I call the person most responsible for my trajectory into writing, my favorite Hunter High School English teacher, Dr. Rembert Herbert. Back in 8th grade, Dr. Herbert noticed that I was writing song lyrics about unrequited crushes in the back of his class instead of taking notes. That I would occasionally write an amazing essay if the topic interested me and do the bare minimum if I didn't. That I believe it was a personal literary essay on Stephen King's It that prompted this note from him. "Lin-Manuel, this is an intelligent and well-reasoned essay that confirms what I've been feeling for some time." He's from South Carolina. "You're a good writer. You have been hibernating in my class, emerging only occasionally when the subject interests you. It's a new semester, almost spring. Join us." Sometimes it only takes one teacher to truly see you for your potential, and Dr. Herbert saw me. With his encouragement, I began writing one-act plays at Hunter. After seeing Rent on my 17th birthday, I began writing one-act musicals at Hunter. Anyway, it's May 2002. I call him and I say, "Dr. Herbert, do you think I could be a substitute teacher at Hunter? I'm graduating with a theater degree this spring and it's kind of your fault." But here I have to hit the pause button on the TiVo in this speech. I have to rewind to 9 months earlier, to the beautiful, clear, blue Tuesday morning of September 11th, 2001. I'm putting on a new musical at Wesleyan, and our performances are this week. I get up early. I want to buy the new Bob Dylan album at the local record store, drive down to the city to vote in the mayoral primary, and get back in time for rehearsal. I get as far as the record store when the planes hit the towers. And the next thing I know, we are all gathered around our televisions, watching the Twin Towers fall and Lower Manhattan become a mass grave. All phone circuits are busy, and there is no way of connecting with our families in the city for hours. One of our classmates loses his father in the attack. Another has a brother who worked in the towers but didn't go into work that morning, sparing his life. The world is forever changed in ways we are only beginning to understand that morning. Life itself feels very fragile. Putting on a musical feels absolutely meaningless. A month later, I make my way to downtown Manhattan for the first time since the attacks. There is a new Jonathan Larson musical playing off-Broadway. Not a new musical, actually. It's an autobiographical musical he wrote in his late 20s, before embarking on Rent. It's called Tick, Tick, Boom, and as I settle into my seat in the Jane Street Theater, my world changes again. If Sondheim wrote about opening doors, Larson wrote about those doors slamming in your face. About spending his 20s rejected by every theater and artistic director in New York. About turning 30 with nothing to show for it. I shift in my seat uncomfortably. Is this what I've signed up for with my degree in theater and knack for show tunes? A life of rejection. Larson writes movingly of his best friend Michael testing positive for HIV, which in 1990 is akin to a death sentence. The thought of losing his closest friend to this disease forces an internal reckoning. How are we supposed to spend our time when tomorrow's not promised? Jonathan musically retraces his lifelong friendship with Michael, which is intertwined with his love for writing, and he finds himself singing despite himself. Hey, what a way to spend a day. Hey, what a way to spend the day. I make a vow right here and now. I'm gonna spend my time this way. I watched this moment with tears in my eyes, 8 months younger than you are right now. Watch the brilliant Raul Esparza as Jonathan Larson doubling down on his calling and choosing life and connection in the face of rejection and death all around him. Jonathan Larson, whose work got me writing musicals in the first place, seemed to ask me in the text of this show, would you spend your time doing what you love even if you never see success in your lifetime? Even if all you face is rejection and tomorrow's not promised? And my answer in the Jane Street Theater that night, with Lower Manhattan still in ruins, was yes. God help me, yes. Okay, fast forward on the TiVo, back to my graduation day, May 2002. I have a job lined up at Hunter, teaching 7th grade English, but I also have 3 months of rent to pay before that job kicks in the fall. So I spend the summer working at a first-of-its-kind September 11th digital archive with a focus on Spanish language testimonials. My job is to interview Latino New Yorkers about that terrible day. It's less secure, bear witness, transcribe testimonials, tell our stories. I go on to teach 7th grade English at Hunter, then scale back after the first year to substitute teaching so I can spend more time writing. It's less secure than the part-time position, so I take other odd jobs. I move furniture. I dance and bar and bat mitzvahs. Humiliating work at $400 a pop. I sing backup for friends' concerts, often for free, on good days for $50. I don't have dental insurance, so I volunteer at a dental school downtown so I can get dental work at a discount. The root canals are the same, it just takes longer and you kind of have a few more students standing around your face. Jonathan Larson worked as a waiter at the Moondance Diner across from Duarte Square on Canal Street for 10 years. He worked the weekend shifts and Sunday brunches to pay rent so that his weekdays were free to write rent. In his spare time, he volunteered at Friends Indeed, a nonprofit organization to offer support for people with life-threatening illnesses amidst the growing AIDS crisis. Jonathan Larson would go on to change the world, but he would not live to see it. He died of a sudden aortic dissection the night before Rent's first public performance off Broadway, a complication from an undiagnosed condition known as Marfan syndrome. He was 35 years old, about 2 weeks shy of his 36th birthday. Fast forward the TiVo to May 2023, and here we are on your graduation day. The times and challenges that greet you are greater than those faced by Jonathan, or myself, or anyone in history. I cannot pretend to understand what college feels like in the middle of a global pandemic. I cannot pretend to understand how you begin to find your people when you're in a lockdown. I cannot imagine trying to learn the truth in an age of online misinformation, when it seems like our personally tailored algorithms cannot even agree on the same set of facts upon which to build a shared reality. How will you, the class of 2023, find, as Jonathan Larson wrote, connection in an isolating age? Here's what gives me hope. You're here. It's graduation day. You made space for what you wanted to do in the middle of the madness we call life in the United States in 2023, and you have made it to graduation day. And the people sitting next to you and the people sitting behind you are the only ones who truly understand what it was like. So what happens tomorrow and the day after that? Dear, brilliant, exhausted Hunter class of 2023, your story is just beginning. You're going to figure out how you want to spend your time, and if the world changes on a Tuesday, then you'll recalibrate and you'll figure it out again. You'll have to choose between walking through the park and waiting for the crosstown bus. Turn off the flash. Don't drain your battery unnecessarily. There is plenty of light up ahead. Borrow someone's Netflix password until you can afford your own. No more hibernating. It is a new semester, almost spring. Join us. Do what you have to do that allows the most space for what you want to do. What do you have to do? What do you want to do? Tomorrow is not promised. Make plans anyway. You are opening doors, shouting, "Here we are." You're filling up days on a dime. Keep choosing life and keep choosing connection. It will feel like you're running out of time, but in all likelihood, you've got plenty of time. It is among the great honors of my life that I get to spend this time with you on this most special of days. Congratulations to you, the Hunter class of 2023, and I wish you all the luck today, tomorrow, and all the precious days of your life. Thank you.
We gather here to celebrate our achievement. Yes, we are here today, outstanding scholars who have successfully gained our degrees. Friends, we should be proud of ourselves. We should be proud of our attainment because it was our hard work, dedication, commitment to obtaining our degrees that have ensured that we are all gathered here today. At 5 years old, I only knew 5 words, 5 letters: L, Y, D, I, A. Who would have thought that Lydia would be here standing as valedictorian of class of 2023? Let me remind you of a quote by the poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And if you know it, repeat it with me. The heights by great men, reached and kept, were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were what? Toiling in the night. This poem, this quote has been a part of my journey since elementary school. It emphasized perseverance, commitment, and fortitude in the face of challenges. Indeed, our accomplishments today did not happen overnight or without struggles and sacrifices. They are the result of hard work and dedication to achieve success. We worked while others slept through the night. Friends, many of us work 2 jobs, manage families, or struggle with public transportation. Yet, we find the time to study while others slept. We were toiling upward through the night. Friends, we overcame many obstacles to be here, whether it be failing exams, financial hardships, family problems, or COVID. We never gave up. We never gave in. We persevered. We adapted and faced our challenges like heroes. Yes, graduates, today you are heroes. You are heroes to a family member. You are heroes to a friend. You are heroes to a co-worker or to a neighbor. I can remember when I and some of my classmates, we were unable to record our students for an assignment, and our classmates rallied together to provide the environment where we could teach our lessons and receive our grades. Heroes, heroes indeed. Now, friends, we must say thanks to the president and our administrative team who worked diligently to develop and implement programs to meet the diverse needs of students. Let us give them a round of applause. We must say thanks to our family members who motivated us, provided financial and emotional support, or helped us in some way to complete college. I can remember my parents, Melvin and Sonia, Aunt Cinda, Aunt Marcia, and Leslie Holness encouraged me to study my book, and my daughter, Abigail, babysitting. Families have been there for us. Let us give them a round of applause. We must also say thanks to the professors who have mentored us, and who provided us with tools needed to face the challenges of an ever-changing society. Here at your college, I had the opportunity to engage with mentors such as Professor Renaud McNichol, who challenged us to become innovative practitioners, Dr. Colin Pennington, who encouraged us to adapt research practice in our lesson plans, Dr. Linda Michelle Barron, who emphasized social justice, Professor Zena Cooper and Professor Cara Hudden, who were flexible and provided numerous examples to ensure that we understood the requirements of the courses, to Alyssa Rocco and Kelly McCoy, who assisted me in bringing my lessons to life, to the diverse staff members who have provided a clean space for learning, communicated with us about our finances and our courses, and provided for our health and security needs, to our entire York College for its continued commitment to its community and preparing transformational leaders for the future. We say thanks. Dear friends, as we embark on our new journey in diverse directions, I know you will remember the experiences that have motivated us to persevere and remain dedicated to the goal of doing our best at your college. As you go on your journey, I support your desire for professional, personal, and academic growth to improve your skills and your lives. Indeed, I challenge you to use what you have learned at your college to make an indelible difference in the lives of others and your community. Let us not be daunted by future obstacles, but look forward to new opportunities to grow and transform our society. I know you can do it. In the words of Bob Marley, the greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. Congratulations, class of 2023. Go forth and make a positive change. Thank you.
Well, good morning, graduates. I am Randy Piers, President and CEO of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and I am a proud CUNY alumni myself. I graduated from Brooklyn College in 1996, having done my undergraduate degree in political science, and I can honestly say that the education I obtained through CUNY truly laid a foundation for my future professional success. I, like many of you, were born and raised here in Brooklyn and spent most of my life here. I grew up in a time when Brooklyn was a very different place, not known as the dynamic place it is known today, but still very special nonetheless. In fact, my dad, who raised me on his own as a single father until I was 8 years old, he owned a bar right in Flatbush, on Flatbush Avenue and Avenue K. Yeah, Brooklyn. And then he ultimately became a sanitation worker, where he eventually retired from the New York City sanitation. I grew up in East Flatbush and Canarsie, and I graduated from South Shore High School. I had been working since the age of 14, and I worked all through college, like many of you. My college experience at CUNY was nothing like what many of you faced, however, the last few years. COVID threw you a curveball, and there was really no playbook for how to approach a global pandemic as students. In my professional world, leading the largest chamber of commerce in New York State, there was no playbook for us either. And as we saw many of our businesses in our community shutter their doors, and some have closed permanently. But Brooklyn itself, home to 62,000 businesses, 84% of those businesses have less than 10 employees. Brooklyn is a small business economy, Yet it is these small businesses that make up the lifeblood of our neighborhood and our communities. Think about your barbershop, your bakery, your restaurant and cafe, your corner grocery store. At the onset of the pandemic, we saw many of our small businesses close, and we stood relatively helpless to support them, given the need to shut down the economy. It was a difficult time for all of us, but put yourself in the shoes of a small business owner who all they had was their business as a means to support themselves and their families. Many of these businesses were owned and operated by immigrants, and many of them were family-owned businesses. And through it all, a sense of resilience still permeated through the small business community, and many did persevere. Fast forward to last year, 2022, as we emerged from the depths of COVID, Brooklyn was leading the way in terms of New York City's economic recovery. Now, this was partially because we were not reliant on office workers coming back to office buildings, coupled with some creative ways to stimulate local commerce through programs like open streets, outdoor dining. Brooklyn itself, it emerged as the economic engine for recovery and growth. In fact, we have seen a record number of new business startups in Brooklyn over the last 2 years, a significant number of these entrepreneurs coming from our communities of color. The data tells a story, and as president of Brooklyn's leading business association, I am proud of how we contributed to the recent success. We pivoted, a word used quite often, but for us it meant adapting the core of what we do, helping small businesses through promotion, support, and advocacy to fit a new reality. We amplified our messaging to serve as the voice of the small businesses by telling a story of what was happening on the ground. And the stories were heart-wrenching, but they had to be told if policymakers were to understand the support that these businesses needed. On the financial front, we crowdfunded new resources to provide funding lifelines for small businesses who couldn't access federal or any other means of support. And when we started to reopen the economy, we designed and launched a small business recovery program that was modeled off of a case management approach, delivering outreach, assessment, and recovery plans directly to the businesses where they were at. I am proud to say that the model we designed was funded citywide and now includes all 5 chambers of commerce in New York City. And since 2020, the program, when it was first launched, it has served over 30,000 businesses citywide and over 11,000 businesses in Brooklyn alone. Pivoting, resiliency, reimagining, recovering. COVID has brought a deeper meaning to these words. And each of you, no doubt, has your own COVID pivoting story. Each of you had your life upended in some way. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe your education was delayed. Maybe you yourself faced COVID. And some of you, unfortunately, may have lost someone close to you that you loved due to COVID. If that is you, you have my sincerest condolences and prayers. But I know for a fact that your time here at Kingsborough College has prepared you for the next chapter and for you to contribute in a greater way to your families and to your communities and to the economy as a whole. Kingsborough excels at providing the areas of practical study that are in demand, sought after by employers throughout Brooklyn and beyond. The nursing program and the allied health programs are second to none. And mind you, healthcare is the largest sector of Brooklyn's economy. The programs in computer science and digital technology are in demand throughout New York City, fueling the fastest growth in tech outside of Silicon Valley. From culinary arts and criminal justice to engineering and hospitality, whatever your course of study, you are better prepared today than when you started your academic journey. Truth be told, it's an employee's market. So for those of you whose next step is the job market, we welcome you. Actually, we welcome you desperately, as many area businesses still struggle to find talent. And for those of you who are going on to continue your education, we wish you continued success on your academic journey. So no matter how you were impacted over the last few years, no matter how you pivoted, here you stand. You have reached a major milestone in your life, and you have done so through the most extraordinary of circumstances. You are to be congratulated and admired for your own resiliency and perseverance. The degree you now hold helps to tell the story of resiliency. It is part of the story that demonstrates that light still shines even during the darkest days. While dreams can be interrupted, they can never be denied. Appreciate those who have been there with you for the journey. Your parents, your grandparents, your spouses, your partners, your friends, and in some cases, your children. They too deserve to be congratulated and thanked. Thank you again to the amazing faculty and staff at this institution that has went through so much, yet they never wavered in their mission to educate and to mentor you. As each of you move on to your next phases of your life, cherish this moment, cherish this day, and never forget the life lessons that this challenge has taught you. I cannot promise life's journey will ever get easier, but with each experience, with each milestone, I guarantee you will grow and develop into a better version of yourselves. With that, congratulations, continued success, and many blessings.
It is with great honor to stand before all of you today and address the class of 2023. For the past 4 years, Queens College has been our home away from home, a place where friends became family, where professors served as mentors, and where student life brought us together. It has also been a place that prepared us for what lies ahead. Just think about the mornings we rushed to get to class on time, went to the library to write papers or work on group assignments, and stayed up late to cram study the night before exam day. As students, we can all relate to these memorable yet stressful moments of college. But none of these shared experiences makes us a Queens College student. So what does, you may ask? Our life story. Each and every single one of you has a story, and telling it with all of its joys, successes, and victories, as well as its challenges, failures, and mistakes, says something about what it means to be a Queens College student. My story began in my parents' home country of Lima, Peru. A country that is named the world's leading culinary destination and known for one of the 7 wonders of the world, Machu Picchu. My parents graduated with their bachelor's degree in accounting, but strived for something greater. They made the tough decision to move to the United States in search of the American dream. Just like many other immigrants, they faced a language barrier, lack of employment, and cultural differences. In spite of these difficulties, they never gave up. My parents' resilience showed me the importance of an education and the doors they opened for new opportunities. However, for someone like me, it wasn't so easy. Statistics show that Hispanic graduates hold 12.2% of the bachelor's degree in the U.S. The reality is, the odds are stacked against me. Yet I refuse to let that define who I will become and what I will achieve. Growing up, I felt empowered to change the status quo, and I took it upon myself to work hard and give it my all. Every educational step that I have taken was with the motivation to become someone who could help others achieve their American dream. As an offspring of immigrants, it is my reason to serve those that are most vulnerable. And today, that goal is one step closer. I am just one of the many stories that represent what it means to be a Queens College student. But we are so much more. Together, we are proud, traditional, and non-traditional students. First-generation students, undocumented students, international students, students with disabilities, and veteran students, to name a few. Our diverse cohort has given us the honor to listen to stories from all walks of life. So I turn to you and ask, what is your story? And how will you continue to write it moving forward? Today, the diploma we receive serves as a bridge between the past and the future, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. For some, you have received the extra credential you need to land your dream job. For others, you are headed off to graduate school, where you'll obtain your master's or doctorate's degree. But for all of you, wherever you choose to go next, always look back on the words of our founder, Paul Kapler. We learn so that we may serve. The Queens College motto that has inspired you to learn with a purpose, so that one day we will serve others for a common good. It is this newly found purpose that will guide our life decisions, offer a sense of direction, and create meaning. Remember this pivotal moment in your life and think about all the good you have done in the service of others and all that you will continue to do moving forward. Lastly, I would like to thank God, who is the reason why I am here today. I would like to thank my parents, my family members, and my boyfriend who are present in the audience over there, who have given me a home full of love, support, and encouragement. To the class of 2003, congratulations, we did it. Thank you.
Congratulations, LaGuardia class of 2023. We are so darn proud of you. So I asked ChatGPT to write a joke for me to open these remarks. And here's what it came up with. So graduates, did you hear about the pencil that graduated at the top of its class? It had a sharp mind. As you embark on this exciting journey of life beyond the hallowed halls of LaGuardia Community College, remember to stay sharp, keep learning, and never be afraid to put your point across. Now, honestly, my staff did not believe that was ChatGPT. They thought I wrote that. Yes, that's how bad they think my dad jokes are. Now, I thought about having ChatGPT write all of my remarks. After all, the Comptroller's office is a bit like a large language model. Hundreds of staff produce the audits, the budget analysis, the policy reports that go out under my name. And I read a recent survey of college students that said that 30% had already used ChatGPT to complete an assignment, but I know that doesn't include a single person here. Look, artificial intelligence can produce what sounds like knowledge, often better than we can, and with a whole lot less work. So why didn't I? I'm going to offer you two reasons, two things that I believe that this graduating class is capable of and that no artificial intelligence could possibly do. First, you didn't come to LaGuardia to produce what sounds like knowledge, but that's really just regurgitating what other people have already figured out. And you sure didn't come here, and we saw this in the numbers of you that stood up recently, you sure didn't come here to avoid struggle and hard work. You came here to figure out, I believe, how to grow through challenges. And wow, have you faced challenges? These last few years through the pandemic and afterwards, no one could have believed what they would be like. COVID-19 upended the world with those chilling sirens, and I know many who are here lost loved ones that you're missing and remembering today. The pandemic pushed so many people out of the classroom who never made it back, but every single one of you did. So I want to ask, what enabled you to, yeah, that's worth clapping for. So I want to ask, what made it possible for you to do that, to have the grit and the determination, the resilience that you showed in getting back to the classroom and in getting here today? What allowed you not just to return, but to heal, to learn, to grow through that trauma? Psychologists call that post-traumatic growth. While trauma, of course, has brutal consequences, it is possible with time and support and community to grow from it, to recognize and build stronger personal strength, to explore new possibilities, build stronger relationships, to feel more gratitude, and to commit to service, as our host today reminded us. So in some ways, that kind of post-traumatic growth could serve as a metaphor for the whole purpose of education. The goal is enable you to solve big problems, to rise through challenge, and develop the habits of resilience for the hard times to come. And look, there's no way artificial intelligence or the internet or social media can help you build those skills. In fact, the evidence is pretty clear. They diminish our attention and our capacity to do it. So what every single one of you has done is something that no artificial intelligence could. AI is not capable of post-traumatic growth, and you are. So give yourselves a hand for that, because if the purpose of higher education is to learn the skills and habits you'll need to face adversity and thrive in an ever-changing world, I'd argue that the LaGuardia class of 2023 is the most prepared graduating class it has ever produced. Now, a lot of that you had to do on your own, but the pandemic reminded us, and today reminds us, that you can't do it all on your own. In her book, A Paradise Built in Hell, Rebecca Solnit writes about the ways that disasters like earthquakes or hurricanes or pandemics can bring out the best in us and provide us a sense of our common purpose. What is this feeling, she asks, that crops up during so many disasters? An emotion graver than happiness, but deeply positive, that provides a window into social desire and possibility, because our response to disaster gives us nothing less than a glimpse of who else we ourselves may be and what else our society could become. And we saw this during the pandemic. So much of what got us through were powerful acts of solidarity. Teams of healthcare workers in hospitals and clinics, people staffing soup kitchens and delivering food to others, creating music and art and poetry like that great singing group we have. So I want to make sure, because today is a really important moment for gratitude and appreciation for that work, to the folks who got you through the pandemic, who helped you grow while you were on campus, and who brought you here today. So graduates, will you please join me in expressing some deep thanks here? First, I'd just like if you could stand up and turn and face your parents and family behind you and give them some big love and shouts and gratitude for everything that they did to make today possible. And also, be kind to them later when they're a weepy mess, because I can tell you from personal experience it's pretty possible. Now, I want you to do the same. Just turn around and you got some gratitude to express to the extraordinary set of folks on this stage. This set of faculty and staff and administrators who worked so hard for you. So we're going to give them a big thank you on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. And you know what? I want you to do this one more time, because you know that back on campus are a set of staff, the folks who clean the buildings and prepare the food and make sure that the schedules get produced on time. And they're so far from here that if you're going to shout loud enough for them to hear you, you're really going to have to be loud. So for that whole staff of the school, beyond just the set of folks who made it to this stage, 1, 2, 3. All right, you guys can sit down now. But I want to make sure that we get this, because this is so much of what LaGuardia is about. The pandemic brought a clearer understanding of what kind of work is essential. And it's the work that makes our lives in common possible. It's those healthcare workers, it's food service workers. Yes, it's the accountants and administrators who make sure everybody gets paid. We cheered for folks who are essential workers at 7 p.m., but we haven't stepped up to show our gratitude more tangibly in pay and benefits and dignity that those jobs and all jobs deserve. And boy, LaGuardia Community College graduates, in the number of nurses and healthcare professionals and accountants and essential workers, you are the future of this city, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for it. Now, much of the time, the kind of disaster response that Rebecca Solnit writes about, it takes place in small, homogeneous communities where people show up for a neighbor who looks a lot like them. It's a lot harder to build communities of solidarity and resilience across big lines of difference, especially in a society like this one with such a deep history of racism, exclusion, and inequality. And yet, that is exactly what you have done here at LaGuardia, and CUNY in general does it better than any institution that I know of, through post-traumatic growth across this extraordinarily diverse student body. With the help of this faculty, you've done more than just succeed individually, more even than just showing up for your friends. I believe that you have shown the power and possibility of inclusive, multiracial democracy. And let's be honest, that's not something we've yet had anywhere on this planet. And yet, today, this graduating class is showing what we're capable of. I mean, think of what's possible if we could build a world that can unleash the knowledge and creativity and skills and tenacity of every single one of you. It will be extraordinary. And artificial intelligence won't make that happen. Like social media, I think it'll probably amplify the biases we already have. AI, it might have the power to improve my jokes, but it does not have the power to solve our mental health crises, or build enough housing for everyone, or fix our broken democracy. But I genuinely believe that you do. I genuinely believe that the two things that you've shown, that you're showing here right now, today, are possible. That post-traumatic growth through challenges and the possibility of inclusive multiracial democracy, that those hold the keys for rising to the challenge of your generation. Rebecca Solnit's thesis boils down to this: the recovery of that purpose and closeness that we felt during crisis, without a crisis. That is the great contemporary task of being human. And that task, I believe, is what renders you something profoundly better than a large language model. It's why I'm not only humbled to congratulate you, but profoundly optimistic for the future every single one of you and you all together are going to build. And that is why I did not have ChatGPT write my remarks, but I will give ChatGPT's sharp pencil joke the final word. Congratulations, class of 2023. Get out there and make some unforgettable marks in this world together. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Can't wait to see what you do in your next steps together.
While many of us come to City College to overcome hardship, find our ambition, or pursue our passion, what I will take away from my journey at City College is the revolutionary power of joy. Most of us, having attended CCNY for the past few years, know that this campus has a revolutionary spirit. When you think of revolution at City College, you may think of the 1969 takeover of campus, wherein Black and Puerto Rican student activists demanded that this education be accessible to Black and brown communities, and succeeded in opening up admissions. You might think of people like my father, a Cuban immigrant who in 1991 showed up at the gates of City College with barely enough money to afford tuition, and who used his education to become an immigration attorney, supporting and uplifting the communities he came from. You might think, thank you. You might think of people like yourselves, people who may commit their careers to public service, aiding the crises of poverty, police brutality, housing, accessible higher education, maybe supporting a New Deal for CUNY, public health, racial injustice, and all of the issues that exist at every level of our city. When you think of revolution, you may think of protest, of dedication, of speaking out, of sitting in, of writing and acting and demanding. But rarely, if ever, do you think about joy. To explain, let me tell you a story. I came to City College because of its revolutionary values and had a vision for how I would join this legacy. I would combine my love of art and my passion for social justice by working on museum decolonization, or the process by which museums return artifacts they have stolen back to their original communities. I thought my joy would derive from attaining a career in the field and working on the issue I was so passionate about. However, around my junior year, I realized I was working so hard to achieve these goals that I began to lose sight of what they meant to me in the first place. While I was doing some of the work I had always dreamed of, I had taken on way too much, and I was sacrificing meals, sleep, and most importantly, time with friends and family. I'd been fed a particular narrative by our capitalist culture, one in which hard work was the only way I could be valuable. And while I was still dedicated to social justice, I felt my passion giving way to exhaustion and was certainly not feeling joy. I was also watching friends burn themselves out fighting their own social justice battles and burn out from constantly dealing with the same oppressions they fought so vehemently against. Friends advocating for feminist values were being shamed for existing unapologetically in their bodies. Friends fighting against systemic racism and xenophobia were being shamed for experiencing the joys of their cultures. And friends fighting against homophobia and the suppression of queer identity were being shamed for loving their partners publicly. I felt us grow weary at the battles we waged, and in that, begin to lose some of the joy that those unique identities afforded us. So, like any good student, I started reading on the subject. I turned to Black feminist scholarship, which argued that in a society that seeks to deny marginalized people access to the pursuit of happiness, to experience joy in oneself is an act of revolution. I turned to former City College professors, Audre Lorde and Bell Hooks. I was inspired by Lorde's words, who wrote on self-love as a Black queer woman, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." My life was changed by Hooks, who imparted that the moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. These women, these CUNY professors, fundamentally changed how I view joy. They taught me that experiencing love and joy are not just fleeting feelings of happiness, but that they are tools for our collective liberation. I began to think of my work on art repatriation through this lens. Is it not a great act of revolution to enjoy the art of your culture after it had been ripped from your homeland? I began to attach this to my burnout. Is it not an act of revolution to take time to care for myself in a society that demands constant productivity? And finally, I saw the rest of my identities through this lens. That as a woman, to love myself and my body in the face of a culture that never deems me good enough is an act of revolution. That as a queer woman, to kiss the person I love without fear is an act of revolution. And finally, that as a child of immigrants, to find success and joy on the land that they tried to keep us from is an act of revolution. So, while you are about to leave the revolutionary space that is CCNY, fight for the rights you deserve, but also remember that finding peace and joy in your identity is revolutionary in itself. Feel joy by embracing your culture and its art, its music, its food, and its people. Recuerda hablar el idioma de sus ancestros con orgullo. Feel joy by embracing the beauty of your body, mind, and soul, because what they are is enough. Feel joy by embracing the little things, and laughing too loud, and dancing too hard, and sitting in the park, and relaxing with the sun on your face. And today, sorry about that. And today, on this momentous occasion, give yourself permission to feel joy fully. Remember what you and your ancestors had to do to get to this moment, and feel joy that you have made it. Remember why you came here, and feel joy at the new world you are going to create as you leave. Feel joy at your accomplishments. Feel joy that you are surrounded by the love of your community, family, friends, mentors, and peers. And remember that this joy you feel is revolutionary. Thank you.